It's a beautiful summer night. Most people are at the beach, but I'd rather be gambling rent money at the casino. Let's try to win, or else our landlord won't be too happy.
We take out 8 Benjamin Franklins and smack them on the table to start things off. We waste no time getting involved because we pick up ace-queen offsuit in the low jack.
Under the gun limps, I raise it up to $25, and the button, small blind, big blind, and under the gun call. Flop comes ace 3 deuce rainbow. This board is drier than a girl's pants whenever Justin hits on him, so do better, kid. For that reason, I decided to get tricky and check this one over to the button.
You know that old saying, you are what you eat? Well, the button must have had salmon today because he takes the bait and bets out $65. The big blind surprisingly calls, which is mildly concerning because what the hell does he have on this board? Action folds back to me, and I don't think a raise makes much sense. Can't ever fold, which leaves just one option. I stick in the money, and we go 3 ways to a turn card, which comes absolutely magical. It's the Queen of Diamonds. Big blind checks again, this time we do not. I don't want to check it over to the button and have him check this through, so I decide to fire out for $240. The button folds, but the big blind comes out of the woodworks. He check jams for $720. What is going on? If the big blind's trapping with a set of 3s, 2s, 4, 5 for a flop straight, which by the way, we lose to all of these and they're plausible holdings, then we just got played like an absolute fiddle and we're getting stacked within 10 minutes again. However, we are now ahead of 2 pair combinations like ace 3, ace deuce, or ace 4 of diamonds that he wants to turn into a bluff? I don't know, dude. This doesn't feel like a bluff, but what is he jamming here? As they say, history loves to repeat itself, and last episode we went down $1,000 within 10 minutes. I feel like a Vietnam soldier getting flashbacks because my goodness, this feels so similar. But I have top 2 pair. If I get coolered, so be it, dude. I close my eyes and stick in the money. And the big blind flips over ace-king offsuit. I was never expecting him to hold that. Our analysis is dead wrong, but we get chipped the pot, which means it's better to be lucky than knowledgeable in poker. I'm glad we took it down. Exactly 1 orbit later, we look down at ace-queen again. I raised it up to $25, and the big blind learned his lesson. He's not slow playing anything. He 3-bets to $85. Since I'm in position, I decide to make the call, and the flop comes 10-5-3 with 2 spades. In this situation, there are 2 spades on board, and I hold the ace of spades, which is relevant because I can represent the nut flush if another spade comes in. The big blind decides to check it over to me. He could be doing this with ace-king, but he could also have aces or kings that check to see how we act. I don't want to bet here, get check raised, and then have to fold our nut flush blocker, because if another spade comes in, that could be a lot of fun, and having to fold is not so fun. I decide to check it back, with devious intentions of stealing this on later streets. The turn is a really interesting one. It's the jack of spades. The big blind now bets really small to the tune of $55. If I did ever have the nut flush here, I would never raise because we're in position and our opponent's still going to act first on the river, meaning it gives him another opportunity to bet, and we can always raise then. So when we don't have the nut flush, I think we should play it as if we do, right? For that reason, I elect on just a call, and the river comes the deuce of diamonds. The big blind bets again, but only for $125. Well, we are sitting here with ace high in a dream, but we could have a lot of strong hands, like sets of 10s, jacks, or the nut flush. We stick to the plan and press the big rep button that says all in. This is also where image comes into play. He just saw me tank for 3 calendar years with top 2 pair, and now I'm jamming into him. He's probably like, this fucking nit makes so many hands against me. Anyway, our opponent does not think too long before throwing his cards into the muck. He later told me he had ace-king, so unbeknownst to him, he was bluffing with the best hand, and we bluffed his bluff. So, pretty funny. Glad we got that one through. Glad we're taking down another pot. After this hand, our stack is up a measurable amount from where it started, and we're off to a hot start. We play a few more hands, nothing notable though, as we slowly chip up over the next hour and a half.
At this point, my buddy's home game started to get interesting, so I decided it's time to rack up and head on over there.
Okay, in the game for $800, out for $2,008, so for a profit of $1,200 in an hour. I'd say that's a pretty productive hour.
Yeah, I'd say that's alright. Anyways, we head over to the home game and get situated. In the very first hand at Adam's game, we have pocket jacks in the big blind. The cutoff raises, I 3-bet, and he jams for around $100 more.
All in.
I call. Once or twice?
Twice.
Sure. Oh my fuck.
Oh, you have kings as well?
Yeah, buddy, you have 2 kings, I also have 2 kings. Let's just chop this pot and poof, let's just move on, you know? Yeah, we run it twice, I don't improve, so all of my money gets shipped to the middle, I never see it again. Nice, I love this game. Just like our stack size after last hand, this pocket pair is a lot smaller. There's a limper, I raised it up to $35. The button immediately 3-bets me to $125. We're both sitting super deep, so if I had a set, I think I'm getting paid. I call. The flop comes not great. Queen, deuce, deuce. Not exactly what we're looking for, but we're still ahead of Broadway cards that didn't connect. So I check it over to him, and this time he decides to check it back. The turn is probably one of the best in the deck that doesn't improve us. It's a 3. I check it over to him again, and this time the button bets $300. Wow, okay. There are 2 flush draws on board, and while it's possible he could be doing this with a draw, I think it's more likely that he has a strong hand that checked back the flop to trap, for whatever reason. We're just starting out, I feel like there will be better spots later on, so I just fold my cards.
Move your eyes. Move your eyes.
Wait,
I fold.
what are you guys doing here?
He's showing his card to the camera.
Unbelievable.
Why wouldn't he have 7 deuce? Anytime BB plays 7 deuce, apparently he just flops trips. It's a simple game.
You saw it? Really?
Yeah.
You're gonna like that.
You know what I like more than that? Actually winning a pot, which we have yet to do since coming to this stupid game. We look down at 2 cards which look nice, and in our society, beauty gets rewarded, so I throw in $30. Justin tries to kill me while defending his straddle, and we go heads up to a flop, which comes king 8-6 rainbow. Justin checks to me, and we have a gut shot plus backdoor spades, which means I think you can go either way with a check or a bet here. In this case, I decide to realize my equity and check it back. The turn comes another 6, but it's a spade, so we pick up additional outs. Justin now bets $20. I Tom Brady my chip over in his direction, and we go to a river, which comes the jack of spades. We back into a flush. That's nice. Even nicer, Justin leads for a hefty bet of $12. I raise it up to 100, and he sits there with a smirk. Apparently he was contemplating a raise to represent 8's full, but considering how card dead I've been, I was calling, so he saved himself the money. Thanks for the lunch money, kid. I'd like to make a formal announcement. It was around this time that tragedy struck. Our cards died. They literally died. I've cut out at least a dozen hands that are okay, but it's just not interesting. I lost between $20 to $50 each hand. It's been a very slow bleeding process. During this time, the game decided to go into quadruple straddle mode. 2, 5, 10, 20, 30, 40. Yeah, as Jay-Z would say, 99 problems, but action ain't one. You'd be surprised how quickly you lose money. A singular orbit with this straddle on is minus $107. Let's say we play 25 hands per hour, which is around 3 orbits. That comes out to $321 per hour. Add that to all of the hands I was opening but had to fold on the flop, and it comes out to a hefty amount. Since this game is playing deeper, we release a beautiful yellow bird into the wild. This next hand reminds me of a night at the bar. Memory's foggy, and who really knows what happened. I started recording late and I don't have notes, so all I know is that I'm heads up with Jack 10 of hearts. I probably opened to $60, the $10 straddler called, and we go heads up to a flop of Queen 10-4 rainbow. He checks it over to me. With middle pair, I still might have the best hand here, but if I bet and then face a raise, that already makes it a difficult situation to navigate. which can all be avoided if we just check. The turn brings another 4. Straddler checks it over to me once again. I should probably be betting this, but I decide to check it back. Just kidding, I plugged this situation into GTO Wizard. It says you should check 94% of the time. I'm a fucking wizard. What can I say? I'm really built for this. River is a 3, and Straddler checks it once more. This time I fire out $100, which looks a lot like ace high or something trying to steal it. And the Straddler doesn't think too long before flicking in a chip for the call. We show, we're obviously good. Nice to get a little rebate from such a large ongoing straddle. By the time we pick up a hand, we reverted back to 2-5-10, which sucks because now we're stuck infinite more big blinds than when we were playing bigger. Anyways, we have pocket 10s and under the gun +1. I raised it up to $35, which wasn't even the price of the biggest straddle 30 minutes ago. Big blind and straddle or call. We go 3 ways to a flop, which comes queen, 9-5, 2 clubs. Action checks to me. Just like last hand, we still might have the best hand here. I don't want to bet, then face a check raise and get blown off our hand. I'd rather evaluate a turn and see what my opponents do on later streets. The turn is a duck, and the big blind says quack quack bitch and throws out $55. Straddler calls. I think a raise is an overplay, and I think a fold is far too weak. So I make the call, and we go 3 ways to a river, which comes to 6 of hearts. The big blind now bets $125. You guys don't know this, but this is Jeff, and he's a fucking maniac. Against nits, this is a contemplative fold. Against him, it's a snap call. Just so happens that in this case, our man Jeffrey turns over pocket 6s for a rivered set. We had him on the turn. I strongly believe any other river card, he does the same exact bet, so just happens to be unlucky. Justin and I are both metaphorically 500 pounds because tonight we're both competing to be the biggest loser. It's been a rough session for both of us. 43 years go by before we finally pick up our next hand, which is pocket queens. I raise it up to $25, the button and big blind call. Flop comes 6-4-3, 2 hearts and a diamond. This flop heavily favors my opponent's calling range opposed to my opening range. For that reason, I decide to check it over to the button. Button also checks. We're going 3 ways to a turn card, which comes the 4 of hearts, pairing the middle card and bringing 3 hearts on board. The big blind checks it over to us again. I'm not worried about someone having a flush or a full house, because I think the button would have bet sets or flush draws on the flop, and the big blind is Justin. He never makes any hands, which means we physically can't lose this pot. For those reasons, I bet $40 for value, targeting all middling pairs or anything that contains a heart that would want to see a river. Button gets out of the way, but Justin makes the call. This pot is now heads up with the 2 people who can't win a pot tonight. The river is the 3 of diamonds, double pairing the board. Big blind checks to us for a 3rd time, and I think this is a spot where we can go for thin value, targeting hands like 5s, 6, 7, any weaker pair that could get sticky. I decide to fire for $155. Jesus Christ, Corey. Thin value. Thin, not fat. This sizing is heavier than Lizzo. I really dislike my sizing because with a pot size bet, I'm representing a full house or something really strong. And I'm not going to get called by the hands that I want to get called by. Honestly, I like a $60 or $70 bet more. As played, I bet $155, and Justin seems perplexed. After about 20 or 30 seconds, he flicks the money in the middle. We show, and we're no good. He has a 3 for the bottom end of the full house. That sucks. That's an understatement. Let's try to change that. We pick up a premium ace-king suited. That's a pretty hand. Straddle's on. Under the gun 1 makes it $30, and there are 2 callers to me. Since there's $100 of dead money and we're out of position, I'm going to make it 2x the dead money plus the size of the original raise, which comes out to $230. Only the original raiser calls, so we're going heads up to a flop, which comes dust. This flop is uglier than a pug sitting in an LA chick's Burberry bag. When I was younger, the chance of me getting said girl's number was actually higher than me winning this pot, which is astounding. Look at the board texture and look at our hand. We don't have any backdoor equity, nothing going for us. Normally I would c-bet 100% of my range, and I learned that it's okay to check call or check fold. I don't always have to bet on the flop. So that's exactly what I do here. I check and fold. Just kidding, we don't live in a fantasy world. I bet $210 and the original raiser calls.
The turn does not improve us. How surprising. I check it, and the original raiser checks it back. The river doesn't even give us a consolation prize in the form of a red card. It's another club. I check it once more. Under the gun 1 shows pocket queens. That will certainly take this down. Evidently, this night has not gone our way. We can't seemingly hit a flop for our life tonight, and the poker gods say, okay, no problem. Here's pocket aces. Try missing a flop with this one. I raised up to $35, and the button immediately 3-bets to 100. Music to our ears. Folds back to me, and we're stuck a bunch. 100's cute, but I want to play for more. I 4-bet to $300. The button doesn't think too long before making the call. We're going heads up to a flop in a 4-bet pot with over $600 in the middle. Flop comes 8-6-8. This flop looks cleaner than Mr. Magic Eraser himself. Let's get some value. I start out with a bet of $250, and the button doesn't think too long before making the call. The turn is a great card. It's a 4. There are no face cards on the board, and I don't think my opponent will ever hold an 8, 6, or 4 considering the action pre-flop. With that being said, how do we get more money in the middle? I have around $2,250 behind, and my opponent covers me. I think about the sizing for a while, and I absolutely butcher it. I end up firing for the size of the pot, $1,000. Oh God, Corey! If he calls this bet, the pot's going to be upwards of $3,000. I'm only going to have $1,250 behind. Horrible sizing. If I go $500 and he calls, the pot will be $2,000. I'll have less than a pot-sized jam remaining. Perfect jam opportunity for all of my bluffs. I can't believe it! The button folds pocket jacks face up and wrecks our soul. Oh, dude. In the life of a fisherman, we had the biggest fish of our life on the hook, and the line snapped, and I'm the one who cut it! I cut it with a pair of scissors! I screwed my own destiny! This is just another form of punting. We're still punting our profits by misplaying? Oh no. Speaking of punting, one orbit later we look down at pocket 7s in the cutoff. I open to $35, and the blinds call. Flop comes ace-king 8 with 2 clubs. Checks to me, and with our holding, this is an easy check fold. But we're playing horrible tonight, and when it rains it pours, so I c-bet $40, and only the small blind calls. The turn is a queen of spades. Small blind checks once again, and, well, this board favors my opening range, I think. Corey, you're raising from the cutoff, you're in late position, you could be opening wider, you don't really have all the strong hands here. Yes, you do, but you could have a lot of weak stuff. This is not a good spot. Don't keep bluffing. This is not a good spot. Me in present form couldn't care less. I fire $175, and the small blind goes into the tank. This is the face of a man who wants to wreck my soul. The player in deep thought is my buddy Matt. He is a GTO prodigy, so I am praying that whatever calculations he's attempting checks out and he folds. Wishful thinking, right? Because he makes the call. Oh shit, what do we get ourselves into? The river is the jack of spades, bringing a 4-liner on board. Small blind checks it to me a 3rd time. Oh god. Okay, alright. If I had 2 pair here, or a set, I would probably just check it back, right? The club draw missed, so maybe we just give up, check, and pray to God that we're good? No, I'd rather just keep lighting profit on fire. I bet one last time to the tune of $400, and immediately get check raised to $900. Oh, God. I'm not a rocket scientist, but I would assume that we're behind. This bluff didn't work in any capacity, and I am kicking myself immensely. We were in the game for $5,000, out for $3,390 for an overall loss of $1,610. Yikes. We managed to punt off our sun run of a session from earlier in the night. We lost $400 on the day. Which, in hindsight, isn't horrible for how we played, but my god, it's still bad.
I am really frustrated with myself. I can't afford to be Rampage's brother and punt off $1,000 every time I start recording. I had no business doing that with sevens, and I lit 650 on fire, which I had no reason to do. There are just a few other spots that I'm not happy with. I should have bet smaller when I had aces. There are a lot of holes in my game that make me want to get better, and I'm losing confidence in my ability to win.
It's alright, I'm gonna study and we'll get better. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and share this with someone who might enjoy a poker vlog. Till next time, Punts Jr. signing off.